much for that. It's certainly going to spark some conversations today, I'll tell you that much. That's Ben Wolvin, who's our BBC correspondent, and going through that ruling by Mr Justice Linden. That family, a Muslim family, has failed in a High Court legal challenge against a prayer ban at a secondary school in London. Now, Imam Ajmal Masroor, who is an imam at Southgate Mosque in North London, it's not far from Brent, where the school is, the Michaela School is, and joins me now. Imam Masroor, hello.
Hi.
Hello. Can I call you Ajmal? What?
Yes. Ajmal is fine.
No Lovely. Problem. Thank you. Your reaction to this ruling, you've obviously been following this closely.
Very disappointed and sad, actually. My daughter goes to a school not very far away from this particular school that we're discussing. And her predicted A-level grades are 4 A stars. And all her friends who are at that school, especially the Muslim ones, they together pray at their prayer time. It hasn't affected their community spirit. It's a very multicultural school. And it hasn't impacted their performance either. They're all predicted to go to Oxford, Cambridge, and big universities of our country and be proud leaders of our tomorrow. By facilitating a child's spiritual growth, the school benefits, we as a society benefit. This imposition by the school and sadly confirming by our High Court's decision to uphold the ban causes great deal of disappointment and consternation amongst the Muslim population, because we will now have to think of which school to send our children, because discrimination has suddenly become lawful, especially discrimination for Muslims, against Muslims.
One of the arguments that was put forward was that the aim of the school, the Michaela School, is to make, for there to be as little differentiation as possible, so everyone can coexist without difference. Now, I'm just going to find this bit here we go. We're in court to defend the culture and ethos of Michaela. Ours is a happy and respectful secular school where every race, faith and group understands self-sacrifice for the betterment of the whole. And an example of that self-sacrifice is school meals, for example. I think they're all vegetarian or vegan, so that no compromise is needed by someone who eats halal food or kosher food, etc., or has any religious requirements regarding food. Do you see what Catherine Biebelsang is trying to say there?
I don't, actually. I think it's a bit strange. What if somebody was homosexual? Would we accept and tolerate a school saying we only take heterosexuals?
No, but that's different. That's different. I should tell you why that's different. No one is saying you cannot take a Muslim or a Christian or a Hindu pupil. What they are saying, what they're saying is it is leaving for prayers, or it's interrupting your day. Let me just finish the normal school day. By being homosexual, you don't leave a room to do a homosexual thing. You don't leave a room to pray. So that I just want to kind of articulate that difference.
I understand, but I think you fundamentally misunderstood what it means to be a Muslim. What it means to be a Muslim is not only to believe in one God, and it also means to follow God's commands in your life. And one of them, fundamental one, is to pray 5 times a day. Now, exceptions are, of course, exceptions. But asking a child to make up that missed prayer every day for 5 years during her secondary education time for 5 years, that's not an exception. That's making it normal. And that, I'm afraid, is not reconcilable with Islamic faith. I cannot miss my prayer. So to be a Muslim, just to make it clear, I must perform my prayers, 5 daily prayers. I must negotiate with my work, my employers, my school, just like my daughter has done in her school, just like I've done throughout my schooling days, colleges and universities. That's just like I do even today on behalf of students in school. Why is this school so unique and different that it feels it can say, actually, we're going to make a better space if you don't pray? We think the contrary. I believe by praying, you are nurturing another aspect of a people, which is their spiritual growth. If somebody wishes to pray, I would facilitate that at any cost. I don't understand, what do we gain by excluding children, by creating this hostile environment, and by actually pushing Muslims out of this mainstream education? Now, Muslim parents already are discussing, guys, it's enough. Enough is enough. Let's set up our own schools and forget about being dependent on anyone else's school. And that's not what I want.
I'm reading through the judge's ruling, and I want you to explain this to me. So ground one for rejection of the claim. She had chosen the school knowing of its strict regime. On the evidence, she was able to move to a suitable school, which would allow her to pray at lunchtime. And in any event, she was able to perform qada prayers, I hope I've pronounced that correctly, in order to mitigate the fact she was not able to pray at the allotted time. What are qada prayers?
I've just explained. So if, for example, for exceptional circumstances, I'm unable to pray on time, I'm allowed to make it up. But that's an exception rather than the norm. If I have to do it every day for 5 years, it's no longer an exception. I'm normalizing it. What that means, I need to negotiate.
Although you'd
my
only
work.
do it for 5 years.
Well, you'll have to, because if you're at school.
At a school that's been chosen, knowing
I
what
understand.
the rules
So the first part, of course, is a problematic one. The parents knew that they may be subject to these things. So that's a choice that they've made. I understand that part, and I understand the technicalities of it. But in our country, where we have flexibilities when it comes to inclusion, when it comes to interpreting law so that we could include people in our diverse multi-faith and multicultural environment, excluding or pushing somebody where they need to pray 5 daily prayers, which is an essential part of their well-being, what do we gain out of it? We don't really gain anything except we create tension. We create the us and them fight for no reason. We could harmonize it by saying it only takes 10 minutes to pray. Why do we have to go to a court to establish such a civil thing to say, okay, go ahead and pray?
The second ground, round two for the rejection is the disadvantage to Muslim pupils at the school caused by the ban was outweighed by the aims which it seeks to promote in the interests of the school community as a whole, including Muslim pupils. So to have this idea that all are treated the same, which is, again, and I go back to, this would have all been clear when that school was chosen by the family and the pupil.
I agree entirely that the parents had chosen that school and that's their choice. I understand that. I'm asking, while it is their choice, could we not say, okay, they may have made that choice, but there is a sizable Muslim population in our country, in London, especially in particular borough that we're talking about. There are other schools in the neighbouring area. Did you know, Naga, my daughter's school, her non-Muslim friends go to her go to her prayer room with her, wait for her to finish her prayers, then they go to lunch together. That solidarity, that that amazing cordiality is what we need to create. But by this strict application of creating a very secular space, it sounds like France. We call France a secular fundamentalist country. It's a militant secularism. Nothing militant, nothing fundamentalist is a good thing for us. This is extreme. I am asking for the same latitude as I would give to my neighbor if they park in front of my drive for 5 minutes. Just not be stupid about it. I won't call the police. I'll go and knock on the door, have a nice conversation. We'll come up with a solution. There is a solution to this problem. This school could have found a solution, could have given 10 minutes to pray, could have given, like other schools do, a teacher to supervise, and it would have been solved. I have intervened at least in 4 schools in the last 4 years where head teachers made some decisions similar to this. The communities came together. We found a solution. Everyone was happy. Nobody had to go to court. And this is very unfortunate. And most unfortunate is that we have now, by a stamp of law, almost legalized discrimination of Muslims praying in any school. Now, any head teacher could say, okay, you know what? We're going to ban prayers. And there is very little recourse except for the Muslim communities to now set up their own schools and be excluded from the multicultural and diverse communities that we're trying to create.
You've just given me an example, but you've just given me an example of your daughter's school where her friends, it is multicultural and prayers are permitted and there's no problem. So there are options. aren't
Of
there?
course
I mean, because look, the education Gillian Keegan has said, I've always been clear, head teachers are best placed to make decisions in their school. Michaela is an outstanding school. I hope this judgment gives all the school leaders the confidence to make the right decisions for their pupils. And I absolutely get what you are saying in terms of the advantages of being around religious ceremonies in terms of education and multiculturalism. But if a head teacher and a school, the board or whatever, has made this decision, this is the type of school we have choices. Like, you've had a choice with your daughter's school. You made the choice. It's not that I can't see how, just because, say, for example, your daughter who goes to school, and I don't want to pick on your daughter, I'm sure she's wonderful, has chosen to go to another school. It wasn't because there was a limited opportunity or that she felt, if I don't go to this school, I'm going to have to go to a Muslim-only school set up by Muslims. She just didn't choose to go to the Michaela, and that is a choice, isn't it? That's free to everyone.
I agree. There is all of us have a choice. We can even, choose to live on Mars if we wanted to, but that's not the discussion we're having.
Quite yet.
If I live next to Michaela School, and it is the most convenient located school to my house and my children, and like any other parents aspiring to go to that school, why would I want to be discriminated? I wouldn't want that. I would love to be.
Well, you'd also want to pick a school that shares your values. And all schools have different values.
We have one common value that binds us, and that is we live in a multicultural space, multi-faith space, and we allow space in which we can all flourish. I can't actively discriminate somebody because I think that's better for them. Then I'm imposing a value system that is not conducive to creating a multicultural way. It is a very militant approach, in my view. There are many schools who have got outstanding outcome from their kids, from their pupils, and they don't have this attitude. I'm just wondering if there is something else at play, especially coming from the current government. And I don't want to.
Oh, well, I'm not getting into that conversation, but I will get into. I think that's safe ground to stay away from at the moment. But what I would say is I want to kind of just put a couple of texts that have come through because people are trying to understand balance. Their ideas of reason as well, because there are two sides to this, obviously, and two arguments. Pete in Surrey says people should be free to follow their religious beliefs, but there is no right to bring them into schools where it can be divisive. Schools have the right to set rules as long as they're lawful. Religion is for temples, churches, home, etc., not for public institutions, especially in schools which clearly state themselves as secular.
Well, I respect that opinion. That's a fundamental misunderstanding of what Islam is. Islam isn't that kind of a religion. Islam does not secularize its practices. Islam is a complete way of life. From the moment I'm born until I die, every aspect of my life is governed by the parameters of Islam, the ethics and the morals it gives, including my education.
Well, a Christian could say that, a Hindu could say that, a Jew could say that.
And I'm very happy with that because I say any religion that wants to have a comprehensive lifestyle based on their religious belief, I welcome it. And if I was opening a school, I would welcome them and I would tolerate them. In fact, there is a very nice saying of the Prophet. A group of Christians came to see him, and it was a Sunday. And they asked the Prophet, "Oh, Prophet, it's our day to pray. Where do I pray?" Prophet said, "You pray here." They said, "What do you mean in here?" "You pray in my mosque." And he told the companions, "Make space for the Christian friends to pray in our mosque." At that time, there were no churches in that area. So Christians were allowed to pray inside
that's religion being tolerant of other religions. When you have a secular school that has declared itself secular, that is a different argument.
I know, and that exactly is my point. So therefore, secularism is more intolerant, and we are fighting intolerance in every way possible.
Well, it's not saying you can't have faith. It's just saying the practice of religion, if it disrupts the school day as is laid out, will not be permitted.
How is it disrupting the school day?
Well, because a pupil is being removed, I don't know, from a class to pray if there's a certain time of day, or
usually at lunchtime.
Disrupting lunchtime procedures, or needing, as you said, needing an extra member of staff. If the school has declared itself secular, then that extra cost of a member of staff or a diversion of resources. I'm just putting these arguments out there that this is what it could be seen as.
I know, and I'm saying the other side of the argument is it sounds very intolerant. in a society where when we find and identify kids with special needs, we add resources. When we have people who need extra support, we provide support. Here we have a secular school which is actually doing a huge disservice to secularism by being so militant and intolerant. And if a secular school is going to be intolerant and militant about it, maybe we, people of the faith, should start setting up our faith schools and exclude secular people from coming in. And you know what will happen?
Tit for tat.
The secular people will be the first one to scream, saying, "Oh no, discrimination, discrimination, discrimination."
Is tit for tat
we
religious?
Can't have it.
Is tit for tat part of your faith?
Exactly why I'm saying we don't want to create independent, separate schools. We want to be part and parcel of every school, and we want faiths of all people, not just Islam, Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, whatever religion people have, to be tolerated, to be accepted and embraced. And it should be part and parcel of the overall culture of the school, rather than saying, okay, we're secular, we're going to exclude everybody else who is religious.
Yeah.
That, to me, Naga, sounds very discriminatory, unfortunately, in the 21st century world. And I don't think this is sign of tolerance or modernity as we claim it to be.
I think it's been fascinating talking to you. Thank you so much. I think we've actually had a very measured conversation about this.